Energy bill average is about $190 a month, and that's for gas, electricity, and water.
Mm-hmm.
So we're a family of 5, and this is off of a family of 4.
Yeah.
Ours is usually a little bit higher, around 250, 300, especially in the winter if we're running the furnace. And then, of course, it depends on the size of your house. Welcome back to another episode. We cover all things that you need to know about living, working, eating, sleeping, and moving to Colorado Springs, Colorado. We're both realtors. I'm Vanessa. This is Ricky. And we'll get into it. Today's topic is going to be the cost of living in Colorado Springs compared to the national averages, and then we're going to break it down for Colorado Springs.
And everything is expensive.
It is not. So compared to the US, our overall cost of living is higher. So the national average is set at 100 for food, health, housing, utilities, transportation, and miscellaneous, and then it goes up or down. So for Colorado Springs, it's overall 108, but then I compared it to California, and in California, it's 176. So it's a little bit higher, but in some categories, we are lower. The one category that we are higher in is housing. So food and groceries, we're 98.4. Health care costs 82.6, housing 140.9. So for the United States, the average is 338,000, and in Colorado Springs it's 440 for a single family house.
I think the median cost is pretty high too, though.
Yeah.
Compared to the U.S. as a whole, we're about 100,000 over, so we're about 440,000 is the median price. I think that's ranges though up to about 500,000, depending on what you're looking for in the area.
Sure.
But everything else is pretty low or at the bar.
Utilities are lower, and then transportation is lower, and miscellaneous is higher. So miscellaneous was at 132, and they combine like healthcare premiums, hospital expenses, surgeries,
Insurances.
the other things, childcare, all that under miscellaneous.
Yeah.
So overall, we're lower except for the housing.
Yeah.
And I think that
I think
it
it's
really
because we have
depends on
such
where you're coming from.
Yeah, we have such a busy market with having 5 military bases, and stuff is just constantly selling. There's not really like an off switch. It like slows down a little bit in the winter, but we constantly have military PCSing, ETSing, leaving the state, coming in, so that kind of drives the prices in the more desired neighborhoods, and that brings that median up, because when we moved here in 2015, I think the median was like 300 to 350.
Not even, it was like in the 2s actually.
Yeah, like high 2s, low 3s, and that since then it's obviously gone up a couple 100,000. So but the city just keeps growing, and again, it's a desired place.
Rents. What is the median rent in Colorado Springs? I think 1,500.
I think
1,514. It says. And that is for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. No garage, no parking.
Yeah.
So
It's a small place.
don't move here thinking you're gonna find rent for 1,500.
Yeah.
Across the board, like if you want a nicer place and in a nicer area, you're gonna pay close to 2,000, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
And especially if you want amenities.
If not higher. And especially if you're looking for a bigger place, if you have family, children, pets, you're looking up closer to like 3,000, depending on the house and the area.
Energy bill. So since we're going to talk about housing, we already talked about the median home price and the median rent. Energy bill average is about $190 a month, and that's for gas, electricity, and water, which I think is pretty. So we're a family of 5, and this is off of a family of 4.
Yeah.
Ours is usually a little bit higher, around 250, 300, especially in the winter if we're running the furnace, and then of course it depends on the size of your house, but that is the average for energy bill. And then phone bill, I thought that was crazy because that it varies by area, but the average for that is $197.
I think it depends on the company too,
Mm-hmm.
and the type of service you're trying to get.
Yeah.
But seems about right.
And then gas, our average here.
About $3.50-ish cents.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's like everywhere else; it kind of fluctuates. But I think the most expensive it got here was about $4.50.
Yeah.
So gas fluctuates, but the average price for it is about 340, 350. And groceries here are actually, I think they're pretty on par with the rest of the country. Like a gallon of milk is under $3. It's like $2.40. A carton of eggs, if you can find them, they're like $2 to $3. So if you wanted to go eat a burger, I think
It
burgers
says
are
508.
about, yeah, I was gonna say it's about $5 to $10, depending on where you go.
The McDonald's drive-thru.
Yeah.
So it has like your staples, and it says the grocery prices are 1% lower than the national average. So a loaf of bread, $3.84. Gallon of milk, $2.41. Carton of eggs, $2.23. Obviously, this is not super current. It's like 7 months old, because right now the eggs are more expensive everywhere. A bunch of bananas, $3.33, and then a hamburger for $5.08. I mean, hamburger's essential.
Yeah.
You need to know.
For sure.
But I wonder, why didn't they have a category for how much the average taco costs? In your taco truck.
It used to be $1 for 3.
I was looking at when you were talking about the gas prices. Which state has the cheapest gas prices? Do you know which state it is?
I'm gonna go with like Wyoming or something.
It's Texas.
I was gonna say Texas, but I thought that was too obvious.
Yeah.
What's their median?
$3 and 0.086 per gallon.
So we gotta move to Texas.
No. Property taxes, they have higher.
Yeah.
We don't have super high property taxes.
Well,
depending on where you are.
Yeah.
And this year, actually,
just
the
doubled.
assessor reassessed the values, and they reassessed the values of houses to when it was like the COVID buying frenzy, which is a little bit unfair because things have come down since then.
Yeah.
So we're helping our past clients appeal those taxes. And it really depends. If you are buying a house in an area where the homes are more established and built in like the 80s and 90s, then your taxes are going to be much lower than if you have a home that was built in the last 5 to 10 years, just because they haven't paid into like the school districts or anything like that. So it's a special taxing district, so you have to pay for the school and the infrastructure and everything. So you buy a new house, your taxes are going to be higher, usually about 1 to a little bit 1.2% of the purchase price, I would say. Where in older areas, it's like sometimes 0.5% of what the purchase price is, or 0.6. So it just depends on what area you want to live in. Obviously, if you have any questions about that, we can help you. But healthcare. So your average doctor's visit is $129. Your average dentist visit is $111. Your average optometrist visit, $121. Average prescription drugs, $4.75, and then your average visit to the vet for your pets is $62. I think also, again, I mean, it gives you kind of a baseline, but it's going to vary by like your insurance coverage and all that. But overall, not terrible. It is a little bit higher than the national average for some of those categories, but we have a lot of healthcare around here.
Yeah.
And a lot of
different options.
All right, and last but not least, childcare. So average childcare for daycare in Colorado Springs is $918 a month, and then for babysitters,
I feel like that's low, but
I know, it's $15.70. Again, it's an average, right? Like there's places where we were gonna take Roman, it was gonna be like between $1,200 and $1,500 a month.
Yeah.
But then there was some other.
That was a few years ago.
In other areas where it was a lot cheaper, but then it wasn't like the greatest facility.
Right.
And then in-home daycares, there's a lot around here because there's a lot of military wives where they don't necessarily want to get a job every 2 or 3 years, so they do in-home daycares a lot. And those are pretty affordable. They're usually like $30 to $55 a day, which is a lot more affordable than daycare. But then, you know, if they take time off or anything, then you're kind of screwed. Whereas daycare, there's always somebody there. So, and then our schools our charter schools are pretty inexpensive, pretty much free. Ours has like a $200 a year fee per child, but you can volunteer instead, 20 hours per kid per school year. And then you don't have that. And then we have some private schools and they just vary across the board on how much you pay for them.
Overall, living in Colorado Springs is fairly affordable. Or the minimum wage here in Colorado is $13.65. Obviously, if you have a family or multiple people that you have to support, that's not going to be enough. On average, though, if you have 2 adults in the home with 3 children and 1 working, which is basically our situation, except both of us work, a living wage is about $46.81 an hour. So it comes out to about $100,000 to be able to live in Colorado Springs just on that one income comfortably. Obviously, it fluctuates from there. If you're a single adult with no children, I mean, you can live off of that minimum wage. You wouldn't be doing all the things.
Your lifestyle.
But so I think the median income in Colorado Springs is about $70,000. So if you want to live here and it's just you, then you can make less than that, obviously, and just go hiking more rather than eating out.
Things,
So that would be, I don't want to go into all the numbers. But
that's a good overview. Obviously, we could help you dive into details further. You could do your own research. We do have a pretty strong job market, again, because of the military here. So there's a lot of jobs to support those bases and the people that live here. We have a lot of IT here, a lot of technology in general. So hospitality as well, I would say. So if you're thinking of moving here and you have any more questions, be sure to leave us your questions in the comments below, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you.